Folks at home, welcome back to Ike Live. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Hope you're having a wonderful Monday night. I know I am. I'm going to tell you why. Home, man. Feels good to be home.
Tired. How are you still going?
I'm tired, man. Here's the big thing I've been doing with all this travel this year. Brian, tell me if you ever use this technique. When things are crazy and busy, is you just don't think about it. You just keep going.
Just go.
You know what I mean? And I know it's going to catch up with me at some point.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I can keep it going until like the fall,
okay,
where it doesn't hit me.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm mentally not thinking about it, and
you're just head down rolling.
And the great thing is Becky and the family has been able to come out to a lot of events to break that up.
Yeah.
Which has been great. But man, there's not like sleeping in your own bed. You miss it. Like
it's your spot.
Oh yeah, like last night was the first night I slept in my own bed in probably 6 weeks, probably 2 months, dude.
Wow.
And I mean, it was such a nice thing. You take it for granted, sleeping in your own freaking bed. You know,
it's
the
like
feel
concaved right
everything.
to your body.
Everything.
Pillows
It's just
right.
it's your spot.
Yep.
You know, it's your spot. But it is a good time to talk about it a little bit, Pete. Right before Sabine River, I filmed for this new project that I'm going to make this announcement about. The announcement that I talked about before. Big announcement coming up about this announcement. Hopefully, announcement I'll make in the summer about
in
this
the summer. We're going
right
to announce
in the
already.
summer, in the heat of the summer.
So is there an announcement?
There's
no announcement.
There's an announcement,
okay,
but it's coming. But actually wrapped up the filming.
Oh, you wrapped it up? No
wrapped
kidding.
it up. This was number 6.
Oh wow!
And we were in New York City. Very amazing place. And dude, the shock to New York City is it's such a cluster.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a big, giant city with a million things going on at one time, and the fishing is fabulous, dude. The fishing is so good right in the heart of New York City. It's unbelievable. It's so weird how good it is.
Right.
You know, stripers, bluefish, flounder, bass in freshwater, carp in freshwater.
Should send Eric up there.
It's unbelievable.
You should send Eric up there.
Oh yeah, he'll ruin it. Permanently. Central Park will never be the same if Eric goes up there.
He'll be there every day.
Charles,
Yeah.
can you please tell your Eric Thanos burning your building down story?
Oh my god! All right, so last month, I live like 20 minutes from Spruce Run Reservoir or Spruce Run, and last month it was on. I don't know what happened. I just there was something awesome going on.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I had it so dialed in, I didn't even believe how dialed in I had it. Like I would literally say to myself, I'm going to throw this right there, and I'm going to get bit. And I was showing Dave earlier, like legit 4-pounders.
Wow.
Legit 4-pounders. At one point I was catching them every spot I went to.
Wow.
And it was just magical, and I was in love with it. And talking to Eric and coming in and out through here, and he's telling me about how he fishes up there. So I made a mistake. Made a huge mistake and error. But it's funny. So I tell him, I say, hey, Eric, it's, FYI, hopefully he's not listening. So hey, it's just, this is what I'm doing. It's just, it's on fire, right? So one day I'm fishing there, and I'm pedaling out and going to get out of my get my truck and stuff, and I see a friend of mine. He actually works for Hobie. Mark, he's the rep in the area, and he's like, I told him about it. I was catching some fish, blah blah. So unbeknownst to me, he's going fishing with someone else. So I pull up, I'm like, hey man, blah blah blah. I said, this is what I'm doing. This is the color I'm using. Like, it's magic.
Yeah.
So I pull out and I leave. Go home, unpack my yak, kiss the baby goodnight, have dinner with the wife, and all of a sudden, Mark. So I pick up, I'm like, what's up? He's like, you're not going to believe this. I'm like, I guess I'm not, so tell me. So he tells me, he gets back to the ramp. They're pulling out, the same thing, they're leaving, and this guy rolls up in a boat. And he says, hey, you guys catch them? He's like, actually, no, we really didn't get any. He's like, oh, me neither. He's like, a buddy of mine has just been, like, lighting it up here. And he's like, let me show you a picture. So I had sent Eric a picture of this pike I caught. This thing was legit.
Yeah.
It was a nice pike.
Yeah.
Biggest one I ever caught. So I sent it to him. So this guy pulls out the picture and he shows Mark. He's like, I know that guy. He's like, he's your buddy? He's like, well, he's not really my buddy. He's a buddy of a buddy. So
My buddy.
my buddy. Right,
Yeah.
yeah. It's so now unbeknownst to them, it's me.
Yeah.
Oh, unbeknownst to this guy,
Yeah.
Someone's buddy. And Mark, he's like, well, I know him, blah, blah, blah. So go back and forth. So it turns out Eric, the intern, texts his buddy a picture of me holding that pike. And there they are at the ramp talking about me. And he's like, dude, your spot is just blown up. So I said, thanks a lot, Eric. You could complete.
Oh, it wasn't
He's telling
Eric.
this was Eric's buddy. So Eric sent this picture of me, and this guy's like, yeah, it's my buddy. He's like, well, he's not really my buddy, but there's a buddy. So
Spruce is on fire.
yeah. So
Wow.
a very wise man told me, and I told you this. He said, don't, if you want to ruin a spot, tell an elite pro about your spot. It'll be ruined forever.
Facts.
So I take that back. It's now you tell Eric the intern about it. Thanks a lot, Eric. Appreciate it, buddy.
Well, everybody watching and listening, if you live in the New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York area, everyone go to Spruce Run. Let's just blow up the entire lake. Screw it. Hate that part of the state anyway.
Oh man, it's great.
What a great story.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. What were we
Hey,
talking about?
I gotta say, can I say something in Eric's defense?
Yeah, sure.
We did a Facebook Live and an Instagram Live
Yeah.
on the Delaware River.
Yeah. And it came out really good. Yeah, I watched some of it. It was
Well, he
awesome.
did a good job.
Yeah, he did a good
He
job.
did a good job. He
Did a good
stayed.
job.
He stayed focused with the camera. He resisted picking up a rod and fishing, which was good.
Yeah, no, you know what?
know?
We're actually busting Eric Stones a little bit, but dude, some of the editing that he's been doing is genius. It's genius.
Oh yeah.
It's genius. I mean,
There's some good stuff we haven't been able to put up. Too.
yeah. One last thing I want to tell you. I did want to tell you a Central Park story real quick. In Central Park, the bass fishing that day, it was Memorial Day. It was Monday, Memorial Day. There were 1 million people in Central Park. 1 million people. That's not an exaggeration. There were 1 million people on Memorial Day in New York City in Central Park. There were 2 fishermen, and
Come on.
one of them was me.
Wow.
That's it. And
Were you bank fishing? Or
I
were
was
you in a
bank
boat?
fishing. The bass fishing was unbelievable. They were post-spawn. The males were fry guarding. The females were on the first piece of cover off the bank. It was so good.
Oh,
I
my.
caught fish up to 3.5 pounds. And then I probably caught 10 bass, enough bass for what we were doing from a filming standpoint. And I started seeing these blimp common carp, and I'm like, I want some of that. You know what I mean? I want some of that, like, on for real, not snag. And I want some of this. So I started scrambling around, and I had a real little tiny hook, and I had a bobber, and I happened to have dough power bait with me, and I started putting little pieces of power bait on there, and they weren't looking at it, and I had one swipe at it and miss it. And then I got to this area in front of a restaurant, and there's a couple famous restaurants in Central Park, and one is called the Boathouse, and it's a restaurant right near where you rent the iconic rowboats in Central Park. And the seating at the restaurant, outdoor seating, literally runs straight across the corner of this lake, the lake in Central Park. And so during dinner, families with kids and stuff will throw bread out there, right?
Okay.
And so now carp are attracted to this spot because of the feeding going on. And I get to this area, and I've got a little piece of dough on with a leader about 2 feet and my bobber, Dave. It's an orange float, styrofoam bobber. And I throw it over there by that wall, and dude, my first cast, a common carp about 30 pounds comes up and eats the bobber. Dude, this happens like 3 or 4 times until I start figuring out, dude, they want a big something.
Yeah.
So now I'm like digging out almost the entire container of dough bait to put on this little tiny hook, and I have 3 or 4 strikes, and I keep missing them. And finally, I made this change, and like it hit me because I'm like, I have got like one scoop left, and you know the film guys want to quit at 2. It's 10-2. I got one scoop left, and I make a decision to take off that little tiny hook, and I put on a little tiny treble, real little small treble hook. I get my pliers, I nip back the barbs because it's all barbless there. I nip back the barbs. I put on that last piece of dough. I throw it out there. And, dude, a big common comes up and sucks it in. At this point, I've missed like 10 in a row. I've got about 100 people on the bank behind me. I've got the entire restaurant.
Eating a meal.
Stop. They're not eating anymore. They're all watching. Dude, they're all on the corner of their seat.
Are you carrying on now?
Dude, I'm pissed because I can't catch one of these things. I gotta catch one of these. This is a big moment.
Are you doing the Ike thing where when they get off, are you going nuts?
I'm going nuts because I can't figure it out. I'm so pissed off. I know this is my last chance. Yeah. And dude, a big common comes up and eats it. And I fight this fish, dude. It's taking drag. It's screaming all over. And I finally land this thing. Dude, Central Park went crazy. The entire place erupted, dude, with they're clapping and screaming and yelling. And the restaurant managers are getting all frazzled because they don't know what's going on. It was unbelievable. And so I land this thing, I let it go, and everybody's still kind of watching. And the only thing I could think of is, and I was kind of like, took a bow, took my hat off, and I say, tips appreciate it. Tips appreciate it. Nobody wanted to give me any money. I don't know if it was all the camera equipment or what it was. I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to our first guest, Pete. Very excited to have this guy on. The really neat tie-in is we're going to talk about Hobie Worlds. We're going to talk about the Hobie Worlds of Sweden. But the great tie-in is that this guy qualified for this event through the Ike Foundation event right here in New Jersey. It's a great story, and we want to talk to him right now. Joining us live via Skype, Nicholas Wedel. Joining us. Nicholas, am I saying your name right or am I butchering it?
That's Wedel.
Wedel. Okay, I'm sorry. I butcher everybody's name, even my own. Thanks for joining us tonight, man. We appreciate having you on.
Good to be here.
Let's start. I want to get right into it, man. Sweden, big, amazing adventure for a lot of us, a trip of a lifetime. Hobie Worlds, I was fortunate I got to be at the last Hobie Worlds when it was in Louisiana. Give us your impression. A lot of people watching that don't know anything about Hobie Worlds, let alone a trip to Sweden. What was it like? What was the experience like?
I'll be honest, Ike, it was amazing. Steve Fields, he put an event together that was one of the few chances I've had to enjoy competition from around the world and experience a unique culture where, I mean, everything is available to you. And I got to fish for some epic, pike. You don't get to catch them every day, especially where I travel to. And the opportunity to hook into, 100 centimeter, a 3 foot long fish that can, absolutely tear through your gear is an exciting experience. And to be able to do this repeatedly day after day, and to catch fish. In the States here, you're lucky to catch 1 or 2, maybe 3 in a day. And over there, you have guys that are hooking into 10, 15 fish a day.
Wow.
It's an incredible fishery over there.
Wow.
And along with those, the people are just amazing. Smiles, friendly, and clean. So well organized.
How was the tournament accepted? How did the people in the town and how did people in Sweden, were they excited to have Hobie Worlds there? How was the reception?
The reception was fantastic. The whole town got together. There was no discontent. Everyone seemed positive about the event. The hotel that we stayed in was rustic, but the food was great, and everyone in town was like, "Oh, you're the Americans here for the tournament." They're like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, we can come down and watch the show." And every day, you'd have people walking through. It was very accessible. Wow. It was right there in the center of town, and it was just a fantastic place.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, there are a lot of people watching right now that are hardcore bass guys or They're fly fishermen, and they don't necessarily know the format. Explain to people watching that don't know. This isn't strictly for one species. Explain the format of Hobie Worlds a little bit as far as what you guys were fishing for and how they judged it to determine a winner.
All right. So what we had to accomplish each day of the tournament was 2 different species. We had the yellow perch. We had to have 2 fish, each one over 9 and I think 1/4 inches. And we also had to have a pike, which was over, I believe it was 28 inches.
Wow.
And we had to have 2 of those. So right off the bat, the people that got lucky, your luck didn't last for long.
Right.
Because to catch a pike, yes, you can do that. But to catch 2 perch and 2 pike in the same day,
right,
that's where the challenge came. And like in pre-fishing, I struggled just I didn't catch any pike. I could catch the perch, but I couldn't catch the pike. And I finally figured out a system that worked for me on the first day, didn't quite work on the second, but came together on the third for me. And fishing the 2 different species factor, you had to have completely different gear.
Yeah.
I mean, you're using like an 8-foot rod. I mean, a frogging stick on steroids, and then you're using the little light setup. You can't throw one lure for 2 spots. So you really had to pick apart your spots and fish effectively.
That's surprising. A 9-inch perch won't eat a pike lure.
No, but reeling the perch in, you might catch the pike.
2. Does that count? Can you do 2 at one time?
And here's the thing is, I mean, you can throw a perch lure, but the perch, they don't like to hit wire leader. So
right.
If you're throwing a perch lure and a pike grabs it, your chances of actually landing the fish are hard to slim. So you really had to pick your battles.
Now, what was the actual name of the lake that you fished, and describe the conditions a little bit? I mean, was it a lake like what you see here in the States? Was it a reservoir? Was it a desert impoundment? Was it a highland impoundment? Describe the lake a little bit.
The lake, as far as area goes, is absolutely enormous. The way they said it, I think it's like it's about the size of Connecticut. I mean, This thing is huge.
What?
Damn it.
It's the second or first biggest lake in Sweden. I mean, this thing is massive. It has shipping channels. It's so big that in order to contain the event, they put limits on us. 7 miles, I think it was, in each direction.
Right.
The way the shoreline was set up was rocky outcroppings with coves with grass and reeds in the back, and there's also long, shallow flats that held fish as well. So, and the weather was beautiful. We didn't have any kind of high winds. We didn't have miserable rain, and the weather stayed in probably the 50s and 60s the whole time. I think even crept up into the high 70s.
Wow, gorgeous weather.
Yeah, it sounded like it sounds amazing over there. Now I'm trying. Do you have an 8-hour day like we do in a typical tournament where you have to get this done, or how many hours do you have at it?
So what we did was we started at around 7 a.m. and we finished at 2 or 3 p.m. each day.
Okay.
So that way you had plenty of time to catch your fish, but not enough time to really understand the species. I mean, like I wasn't one of the only ones that had never really caught a pike before. So, and we had, I believe it was 2 days of pre-fishing. So it was a very tough fishery to learn in just a few hours each day.
So did you go pike fishing early? Did you try to? They seem like they're the most challenging that they would be to catch. Seem like you would have to spend most of your time hunting pike, right?
Yeah, and then the thing is that the way the format was set up was total inches overall each day. And if you couldn't get your pike, oh man, you're down at the bottom instantly. But if you couldn't get your perch, then all of a sudden, that's what it was. Everything was in centimeters, so inches. I mean, you're down almost 20 inches each day,
Without the
and
perch,
that's
yeah.
the difference. Between
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Now, I can tell you, and Pete, we talked about this last year when I was at the prior Hobie Worlds in Louisiana. It's such a cool environment, and the best way I can describe it, and Nick, I want you talking a little bit about this, but in a bass tournament, in BASS Elites or FLW, there's this rivalry, and I don't want to say it's hatred, but you don't trust anybody, and everybody's out to get everybody else, and it's all about the money, it's all about the points, it's all about the win, it's all about the publicity. And when I was at Hobie Worlds in Louisiana, it was this most amazing bond that I felt between guys that didn't know each other, right? Guys from Sweden, Mexico, Italy, United States, Canada, all over the world, this common bond that was kayak fishing. And you never felt that animosity between the teams. Was that true at this one in Sweden? Was it that same feeling?
Yes, the camaraderie is there. The trust, well, we're all fishermen. So, I mean, if you can get away with the biggest lie you can for the day, like, oh, where are you catching your fish? Oh, I was catching it right here. The person you tell, they're like, are they lying? Are they telling the truth?
Right.
That's the crapshoot. But overall, the feeling was, hey, we're here to help each other. And on the last day, one of the really cool experiences of the tournament was, I wasn't there for it, but I got to hear the story, was the guy that was in first place, the guy from Germany, he was just wailing on the pike. I mean, he was just one after another. And a couple of the other guys are struggling nearby, and he's like, listen, I got to go catch my perch, but here's the lures that I'm using. And he gave them to the other two fishermen. So and you just don't hear about in other kind of tournaments. Here's my best bait. That just doesn't exist.
Yeah. Dave's not going to be giving you any of his bass lures at the next Ike Foundation.
Hey, Nicky.
Yeah, that didn't happen between Lambert and Randy Haynes, I don't think, either.
Hey, Nick, it's Dave. Do you remember our interaction last year at all, by any chance?
I'm struggling.
All right, well, I'm going to help you.
Help me out, I'll probably remember.
I'm going to refresh you. The night of the meeting, first I'm going to say congratulations on everything. Even though
Thank
you
you
stole my opportunity to be talking about this right now. I'm just saying, you blasted me. You earholed me. You took me out. I'm good. Good. Whatever. Listen.
Blasted all of us.
You are a gentleman. I'm going to tell you what. The night at the meeting on the battleship, right? So for people that don't know who fished this event, we have a pre-tournament meeting on the battleship where we're issued our identification bracelets. So when you take a picture of your fish on the Hobie board, it's a unique bracelet to that tournament that's only released the night before the tournament. You actually coached me up on the iTournament Angler app. Remember talking to a guy that was like half lit?
Yes. Yeah.
That was me.
All right.
Half lit.
He remembers now.
Big giant blockhead. You couldn't miss him.
Now, we also had another interaction. I spent most of my day on Cooper. When I finally rushed to Newton, I was the guy like racing through the reeds and through the lily pads, launching my kayak when you were over by that cement dock, and you were throwing a little frog. That was me. Do you remember that, dude?
Yes.
Well,
did you catch any fish?
Elaborate, maybe?
Don't tell him, Nick.
Anyway, good job. You're a gentleman. Congratulations. You got a great smile. I'm glad you were the guy that went there, except for me. And, I understand this year I got my own boat now. It's going to be a whole different story. You're not going to just be running over me like you did last year. All right?
Dave's been practicing. You got to. He had a whole year to sulk in his misery about not winning on his home
I don't
turf.
compete to lose. I was ready to go right home.
I know. Well, and this is what's amazing to me is this story, and I do want you to talk a little bit about it because. Nick, you're not from Jersey. You had never fished Newton Creek. You had never fished Cooper River. And you made this trek all the way here to the Ike Foundation, not just to support youth fishing, but you made it to try to qualify for Worlds, and you did. That's an amazing story. What drove you to come out and fish last year, all the way to this little crappy tournament in Jersey? Tell me about that a little bit.
All right, so I have a few months off every year from what I do for work. And last year, I like to go fishing with my friend Chris DeBeer. So he was like, dude, we're going to do this tournament. And Jamaica Bay. And I'm like, Jamaica Bay, where is that? And he's like, in New York. I was like, I thought Jamaica Bay was like in Jamaica. And he's like, no, it's in New York. So we do this tournament, and I end up tied for 5th, bumped to 6th, and he gets 5th place. But the way the tournament runs is the top 6 get a shot at first prize, because within the top 6 is, I mean, you're talking an inch and a half, if that. So they drew names, and they drew Chris DeBeer's name as the winner to go to Hobie Worlds.
Wow.
And then the second name they drew for the runner-up was me. And I was like, that's awesome. What is Hobie Worlds? And they're like, you're going to go fish someplace awesome. And I'm like, well, this isn't good, because I know Chris is going, and I want to do this too.
Yeah.
So then I got online, and I figured out where the next tournament was, and that was in Kentucky Lake. So I drove my happy rear end to Kentucky Lake, where I tied for 5th and got knocked down to 6th again. That was kind of frustrating. And then I was like, all right, do I have any more opportunities? There was one in Border City Classic, which is in Michigan, like Detroit. I know you fished that before, Ike.
Oh, yeah.
And, so I went up there.
Oh, my gosh.
And I tried to do my best, and I ended up, I think I was like the 3rd or 4th American. I just, my pre-fishing days were epic. I mean, 5 pound, 5 and some change smallmouth bass. It was amazing. I didn't know they even got that big. But I never even caught them before, which is a unique experience. But then, and here's the thing, I'm not a bass guy. I'm a saltwater guy. And then
That's awesome.
The next spot, the last opportunity was the Ike tournament. And I was like, fishing for kids, $200. Yeah, okay, why not? You know what? Learn something new. And so I drove down there, and I was glad that I spent a couple of days there beforehand, just kind of looking around and feeling the vibe of the city. And I tell you what, that is a rough place.
Yeah.
But the camaraderie of guys on the water, like, it was amazing. I mean, everybody, I would be like, I have no idea what works here. And I'd go around to the different bait and tackle stores, and they'd be like, try this, try that. And I got to try a few different things. And I finally found that, just working the bait super slow ended me up. And I found a spot where nobody was really trying to get to.
Wow.
So for me, it was all about trying to compete with my best friend, Chris DeBeer.
Yeah.
And enjoying the experience that the Hobie Worlds qualifiers had to offer. So I'm really appreciative for you for hosting this event.
No problem. Congratulations.
Hey,
That's awesome.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So you came from Detroit, and you're calling our area rough? Really?
What were you staying at Marshall Mather's house in Detroit? Or?
What the?
No, where I was staying at was that was Lake St. Clair, and I can't remember the name of the campground that I stayed at, but I mean I was nowhere near the city, so that was the good part.
Gotcha. Now I had a note here that there's a rumor. I want to talk a little about this. Is that for the Ike Foundation event, you ended up staying in your van, and you didn't realize, but you were staying in the heart of Camden, New Jersey, which at one time was the murder capital of the United States.
City in the United States.
Yeah. In fact, Dave was a police officer in Camden for many years and saw some terrible stuff there. Dave, do you believe Nick was sleeping in his van in Camden? What do you think about this?
Where were you sleeping at in Camden?
So, unfortunately, there I did not sleep in the van, but I slept in a rough neighborhood. And I was more, and the thing is, I didn't want to put my kayak on top of the car, so I put it in the car. So I basically left everything wide open. Whoops.
Wow.
But luckily, nothing was stolen.
The good thing
he probably was in Cherry Hill.
When I found out that Camden was the highest murder rate, I was like, wow, everyone seems so nice. I go, what's the deal? They go, you're nice, we're nice. If you're not nice, there's a whole lot of acreage you can disappear into. And I was like, okay, I will be on my best behavior.
The thing is, Nick, the brothers didn't know that was a kayak. They thought that was a missile on the top.
They don't want no parts of that. They thought they were getting shot.
We let him get by something. We talked about Sweden. Are you single or are you married?
I am single.
So
but
were you
I
chopping
have
down that
friends
Swedish?
around the world?
Were you chopping down that Swedish poon? What was going on over there, dude?
No, honestly, the way that they scheduled the events, I just wanted to sleep. I mean, you have to understand, they're at a higher latitude there, so sunrise is at like 2:30 in the morning, and sunset is at 10:30 at night.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're like, your internal clock is way off, and the guys that went out and partied. I mean, that's the cool thing about Hobie Worlds is, I mean, you're there for the experience. If you win, what do you win? You win a handshake and like a cool job, dude. There's not like $50,000, $100,000 writing on the table.
Yeah.
So
you slept?
yeah, yeah. So I slept. Yeah.
So I gave my ticket away.
You gave the golden ticket away, dude.
To a guy that took siesta? Come on, man. Damn.
Well, this is your chance for redemption this year, Dave.
Yeah, Nick, it's gonna be different this year.
It's going to be different. I do want to talk about, I know you mentioned your job, and I had a note here from Brian. I think it's very interesting. A lot of people watching. What do you do for a living? What's your regular gig?
I'm a merchant mariner, so I work on the container ships, and I also work on military auxiliary vessels. So basically, all this stuff that you get from China, Japan, or you want to send it over there, I help move it across the oceans. And I basically do maintenance on the ships to keep them running.
Wow. Very, very cool. So that in itself has taken you to probably some pretty crazy locations.
Yeah, I travel all over the world with that job, and the stressful part about it is it's there's no stopping when you're going. It's sometimes you're doing 16-hour days, 18-hour days, and you're doing it 7 days a week, and you do this for 120 days to 180 days.
Wow.
So it's every day, like 8 hours a day minimum, 4 hours overtime. And so like this last time, like after I left the Ike tournament, I went and hopped on a ship for 6 months, worked every day, and I ended up in Micronesia fishing off the back of the ship, and I was catching dogtooth tuna, giant trevally, snapper, grouper, all that kind of fun stuff.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
That's wild.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Off the back of the ship.
Yeah.
That's
giant
you need a
900
long net.
Oh, you know what? I don't use a net, but I use a very long gaff pole.
Oh,
so.
yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a cool experience, though, to be able to travel and see all the different species. Saltwater, freshwater.
And to Dave's point, he probably chases skirt all over the world. He didn't really need to get active in Sweden.
Yeah, that is a very valid point.
Wow. Yeah, with a smile like that, he's killing it.
Now, I want to call you the plate on what is the favorite species. Give me a couple, because you mentioned a few there that are on my bucket list, like a GT, big GT. Man, I cannot wait to get my hands on one of them eventually. But give me your top 2 or 3 favorite species you've caught.
All right, favorite species to catch. One is, you guys have actually heard of it. It's probably called a queen snapper. I believe you guys, it's a little bit down south, further than you down in Florida.
Yeah.
For me, that is my specialty species. That's what I really love to catch. You catch them from 700 to 1,200 feet down.
Wow.
And it's necessarily the fight. It's the challenge of finding the fish and finding the fish that want to bite. It's a very finesse fishing at 1,200 feet.
Yeah.
But
Drop shot.
as far as the fight goes, dogtooth tuna, top of the list. I mean, when those things hit, it's a freight train, and they've got teeth, they've got attitude, and they will run you straight to the bottom and break you off every time.
Wow.
And then probably another species on the top of the list as far as variety goes, I would have to say mahi.
Mahi, yes.
People think that you have to have this 30-pound setup, 80-pound line, all this hardcore, offshore 40-foot boat gear.
Yeah.
And in reality, the bass setups that everybody uses, you can throw a spinnerbait, you can throw a crankbait, you can throw a fluke,
Yeah.
And
Wow.
you've got a fish that's, up to, 80 pounds, jumping in the air, flipping, spinning. It has, 30, 40 different colors on it at the same time.
Yeah, they're cool fish.
It's also great to
Yeah.
eat.
Hell
So
yeah, they are.
those are my top two.
Now, where did
Top.
the 2-pound Newton Creek bass fall in your list?
Honestly, so I had a gear malfunction. My net fell apart. I won't say who it was made by, but when I hooked it, and oh man, talk about a rush, because I know that the bass there aren't 6, 7, 8 pounds like you'd
Yeah.
find in Florida or somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, if you catch a 20-inch bass, an 18-inch bass,
It's a
they're at
giant.
the top of the list.
That's a giant. Yeah.
Yeah, and so when that fish hit, I mean, shoot, I'm almost shaking thinking about it now. It was the adrenaline rush of, please let these hooks hold. And when I finally got that fish in my hand, it was just like, it was a huge relief, and to realize that I was actually possibly a contender to go somewhere special was just an amazing feeling.
That's cool. Dave had a very similar story that same tournament when he was over at Cooper River. He was fishing near the dam over by Cooper, and he hooked into and almost lost, but finally landed a giant 12-inch ribbed condom. And he was so excited. I think, Dave, didn't you say you kissed it?
No,
and
yeah.
then
No, I mean,
measured it, kissed it, and
I'm
then
not-
rubbed it, or what?
no,
What happened?
I made a halo out of it. that you
Oh, a
put on your
halo.
head. What are you talking about?
It was a Magnum Trojan,
Why,
wasn't it?
why aren't we celebrating Nick's hair? Look at that beautiful crop of hair, dude.
I haven't seen hair like that since Byron Velvick was around.
I
on
know,
the scene.
man. That's like newscaster hair, dude.
Here, I was thinking about getting a haircut for this, but I'm glad I left it alone now.
That's an amazing quaff. Eric, the intern who called out sick tonight, he'd be reeling in jealousy right now.
Yeah, yeah. He'd be jealous. Nick, what's next for you? What do you got coming up? Tell us a little bit about what. Do you plan on trying to get back to Hobie Worlds? What do you got coming up the rest of the year?
So the way my life is going right now, I have about another month of vacation left, a month and a half. And
Good time to get
so
back to
right
work.
now,
I was about to say he can't make it. Oh no.
yeah. So my plans are, I'm going to be doing some fluke fishing and black sea bass fishing here tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. And hopefully I'm trying to break the 10-pound for the fluke in a kayak.
Ooh, nice.
So that's my next goal. And then after that, it's to keep hounding at. So I'm in Connecticut right now, and the striped bass are starting to warm up.
Yeah.
And I've only gotten a few over 30 inches, and I want to break. Last year I got a 44 inch. So I want to try and break that and basically keep honing my fishing skills. And am I going to make it back to the tournament? Yes. I want to.
Yeah.
I think that the camaraderie down there was really exciting. And when I heard last year that a lot of the bass fishermen were absent due to other tournaments, and that now that they know about what's going to happen, that they're going to be here for this one.
Yeah.
I think that the challenge is even going to be a little bit more exciting. And I mean, I'm fishing against people that fish there like religiously. They've been fishing there their whole life.
All the time. Yeah.
So for me to come in there and throw a lure is it's really intimidating, but I like the challenge. So I'm willing to go for it
Defending
again.
champ.
Well, this time I suspect maybe some Putin nerve agents coming your way if you're on the battleship.
See, he's a great
Well,
example.
I tell you what, if those spiders are still under that bridge,
Hell yeah, they are.
Oh man, those
oh
things are
man,
nuts.
that you know what, that's a deterrent right there.
I've been there for 40 years.
Nick, he's a great example of the kayak community. You know,
Yeah.
nice guy. Met him. He lives in Connecticut. We've talked a few times over social media, but you know, even though he beat us, it's exciting to see him come back again.
Yeah.
You know, and it's nice
Very
to have
cool.
him come back to our area and support us.
Yes.
You know, and
It's
that's
very cool.
everywhere else. You know, in the world is the fishing. You know, every Kentucky Lake, Okeechobee, all these
Boo.
places. We're just New Jersey, but this guy's coming here to fish out of our
Yeah,
ponds, and
that
that's
is
cool.
It's very cool.
That's cool.
Very
you know?
cool. Yeah.
Hopefully he has one of those spiders stuck in that. in that
Dave, watch out! Don't leave your pro angler hanging out of the van. Dave's gonna drill a hole in the bottom.
Hopefully one of those things are stuck in that beautiful hair and bites him right on the head.
We're gonna have a new spin on the camaraderie of the kayak community.
So much for camaraderie.
Thanks a lot, Dave.
Dave goes to World is gonna sabotage every other team in every other country.
I'll be stomping other flags in a minute, dude.
Well, hey, just remember, if you go, one of the prizes that they give away there is a how do we call it? Camaraderie award? I don't know how do you want to call it.
Yeah,
but basically,
pussy award for the guy that's friendly.
Guy award.
Yeah.
And if you win this, you get to come back. So I didn't know about it, and so I'm wondering why everyone's so damn friendly. It's because if you get picked, you get to come back. So Dave, if you beat me, you got to be super nice. So that way you get a free trip for the next year.
I will show up with hand lotion and lavender candles. I will handy my way into the next world, dude.
Wow.
It's worked before, Dave. Why not again?
It got weird.
It did just get weird. Nick, let me tell you, first of all, man, congratulations on winning the event last year. Congratulations on going to Hobie Worlds. Can't wait to see you here in a month or so. Excited to have you back. Definitely will be more of a challenge this year. But I got a good feeling you'll do all right again. I have a good feeling.
Is it going to be a crowded field this year?
It's going to be a more crowded field. I think we've probably tripled the size of the field from last year. But it's a lot of water, right? You know, Newton Creek, Cooper River. When you talk about from dam to dam at Cooper River, it's a lot of water. So more strategy is going to be needed this year for sure.
And what won? A 2-pound bass one?
No, a bigger one. Yeah, you had a big one.
Yeah.
What did you have, Nick? You had it was probably a 4-pounder or so, right? Pound wise, I know it was inches, but probably a 4-pounder.
What was one fish? No, 3
length,
fish.
total length.
3 fish.
3 fish.
3 fish, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, you got me on that one. I honestly don't remember.
I know you had a big one.
I want to be Nick. He don't remember shit. He don't remember me. He don't remember the big fish he caught. That's how good his life is, dude.
48 inches out of 3. Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah, 48 inches, which is a nice bag.
Wow.
It's a good bag.
Yeah, that's strong.
Charles, remember what you caught. That's how good Nick's life is, dude.
No, I just remember seeing him catch that last one. I just remember seeing him catch that last one in a spot I just fished, and I was like, son of a...
Dude, I pulled in last second, panicking. He was just cool as shit. Just like, yeah, man, I'm just riding around this frog and throwing it around. I'm like, what? Like,
why you keep outing him on the frog that he was using?
That was a decoy, Dave. He didn't catch any other frog.
No.
No, that son bitch was throwing I'm going to put you out there right now, Nick. He was throwing a little-ass, weird-looking frog around there. On a spinning rod.
Yeah, with a broken leg. It had a broken leg.
On a spinning rod. See, I put you... You know I know. Now stop. Act like you don't know me.
That's great. There goes the camaraderie.
Yeah, there goes the camaraderie. Well, Dave's going to have 5 HDS 12s rigged on his kayak trying to compete with you this year. So I don't know if that's going to help him. Well, Nick, I appreciate you coming on. We will see you in a month or so, and good luck, man. Good luck in all your travels. I hope you get that big fluke, big striper. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Very excited.
Yeah. And if I could just give a quick shout out to Three Bells Marina for putting up with my fishing, and to Steve Fields for putting on the Hobie Worlds, and Keaton Eoff for running Hobie America, because those guys are really running the show.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Appreciate it, Nick. Have a good night, man. Thanks for coming on.
Good luck. We'll see you in a month.
See you soon, Nick.
Later, Nick.
Oh, yeah. I'll be there.
Awesome. Thank you. Man, that's awesome.
I'll bet you Nick is a Kennedy. Look at that hair, dude.
I know.
He's like a Kennedy, dude.
Dave, you got a man crush. Oh,
it's getting awkward.
Come on. He's still on there. Look at me. He's a handsome
dude,
guy.
a good-looking dude, banging chicks all over the world, just fishing
off the back of the boat,
at a whim.
living it.
Months off at a time.
Living the
fishing.
dream.
Yo, he is such a Thor that he went to sleep in Sweden, dude. Yo, come on, how you not admire that, dude?
Oh, dude.
Don't make me sound like a mo.
It's too much. It's too much. But here's the interesting thing, Pete. I'd like to know, what would Brian's ghost say about this? What do you think Brian's ghost would say?
I can't
wait,
imagine.
wait, what's coming through?
Is there hookers and coke in Sweden?
Come on. That shit ain't right.
Where's Becky when we need her?
Yeah. Becky, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Damn, Brian's ghost keeps coming through. All right, Brian, let's do this. Let's take another. You want to take another break?
Yeah, I'm looking for the fucking commercial.
Let's take a
Let's play some. What's your DJ? What was your
baseline disc
DJs.
jockeys.
Let's
Baseline
play
DJs.
some baseline.
This is a Baseline DJs production. Production. You go, Pete. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Listen, hang in there with us, Pete. We got one more segment coming up, and this is a good one. We saved the best for last. We've got UFC champion, superstar, veteran, Jim Miller, friend of the show, friend of all of us, coming on.
Undefeated bass angler.
Undefeated bass angler. That's true. In the Ike Foundation event.
The inaugural champion.
That's right. Inaugural champion coming on.
We're going to find out if he ever put an outboard on the boat.
I know. I'm curious about that.
There's also another MMA fighter that claims to be the greatest fisherman
Yes.
in
we
fighting.
We want to talk to him about that.
That sounds like a Bass Zone one-on-one
Yes,
It
sir.
does.
challenge.
This might be a Jark Meffries deal here. And we're also going to talk to Jim about Lyme's disease. He's a big champion of awareness of Lyme's disease. We're going to talk to him a little bit about that. It's going to be some good stuff. Brian, take a break. You ready for
Give me
it?
one more second.
Okay, one more second. Hang in there with us. When we come back,
Hang in there. Keep going.
one more segment of Ike Live on a Monday, even though it was late, waiting for Brian to cue it up, trying to keep the conversation going. You can get us old episodes on IkeLive.com, iTunes, Stitcher. Size it up. Come on, Brian. Hang in there with us when we come back. One more round of Ike Live. Go.
Hey, Noah Wheeler here with Reelsnot. Been out on this pond for about an hour now. Haven't had a whole lot of luck. We've had a couple blow-ups, but not getting a lot. So we thought we would try the new Java product on this frog on the top water. It works great on jigs and other plastics, but we've noticed that when we do use it on top water, we get a trail in the water, the scent's in the water, and we're getting a lot more bites. So we're gonna spray some Java all over the frog. Apply from Reelsnot to the braid, get it nice and wet, and then as I reel it in, it's gonna work its way through it. Okay, so now we got that scent in the water, and then we got the frog all juiced up with some Reelsnot Java. Let's see what happens here. There's one, there's one. So as you can see, that scent got around in this little area, this little pocket we're fishing, and sure enough, one came up and nailed it. Small one, albeit, but hadn't caught anything since we've been here for about an hour and 10 minutes now. There's one. That's a good one too. That's a good one. Much better. Good little guy. Threw my frog. Man, they love this stuff. Right through the nose.
4.5-inch drop shot worm, Bama bug. Finesse jig, PB&J, give me something hard. Hey, KVD here. Now, I didn't always know this much about fishing. 4-aught EWG worm hook. In fact, there was a time when I couldn't tell the difference between a jerkbait and a stickbait. But then I signed up for Mystery Tackle Box, the original monthly tackle subscription. And now I know more about fishing than I do about calculus.
And he knows a lot about calculus.
Plus, I get amazing extras like free fishing magazines. October 2016. Featured article, 4 places to throw a frog. Exclusive decals. Zombie bass. And how-to videos for all the great baits I receive. How to tune a crankbait. Is that underwater footage I smell?
I got goosebumps.
So if you're looking to develop enhanced fishing abilities like me, or you just like getting new tackle every month, go to mysterytacklebox.com and get your box today. Ooh, live minnows. Is it lunchtime already? Nature's candy. Oh, is he in my pocket?